Once again, I'm the one person sitting here in the chair being like, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea about this NBA.
Our goal is to get Jordan to watch basketball. That's
What
the
is
new
this
goal.
NPA?
What is this
Listen.
NBA and everyone talking about
so
it?
rigged. This league is so rigged, and I love it.
My favorite part about basketball is coming up with nicknames for all the players, and that's how I really got into it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And no, she does not call any of them by their actual nicknames.
No.
It's her own version of nicknames.
hmm
And
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not even the
We
players'
not mix it.
well-known nicknames. It's
No.
just random
No, no.
nicknames. Hey, everybody! Welcome to the Blockbuster Hall of Fame. I am being the host today, and of course, as always, we've got Erica. Say hi, Erica.
Hi.
And Seth. Say hi,
Hello.
or just be.
Hello.
Alright. So, today we are going to be talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It was a movie that I've heard about, and I was like, you know what, that sounds like an interesting movie to see. Never got the drive to see it, and I'm glad Seth picked it, because I thought this would be a fun movie to talk about. So, alright, since it's your movie pick, we're going to have you get your first thoughts off there, Seth.
So this is a movie that I'm just going to kind of share my quick thoughts or my first thoughts is about my experience with this movie. I watched it in a movie theater and I hated it, loathed it, couldn't stand it, talked so much shit about this movie. Decided to watch it one more time. Cannot even remember why I decided to watch it one more time, but I did. Absolutely loved the movie and watched it nonstop for like a week over and over and over again. And yeah, and so it's there's only been a few movies that do that. Nope is another one, an example of that. But I actually love this movie now, but it took me a while to get onto that train because the first time I watched it, nah, it was a hard no for me. Now, love it.
Alright, Erica, what is your thoughts about the movie?
I remember not having any desire to see it because I was like, eh. Quentin Tarantino is like, definitely it either hits or it like doesn't. And the movie I think we watched prior to this one was The Hateful Eight, which, my God, talk about like sitting in the theater for a long time for no reason. So, but yeah, I ended up really liking it and watching it again. It's been a while since I've watched it. I'm like Seth, and I enjoyed it a lot more and noticed a lot more things. So it's one of those movies where I think you pick apart things or you find little things every time you watch it.
It's interesting you brought up about the length because Seth brought about how like yeah we're going to watch a shorter movie this time. And have you ever had when your friend both lies to you but tells the truth at the same time? That's this movie for me. Because I was had it all planned and everything. And I was like, oh, okay, it's probably going to be about 2 hours, maybe 2:15 and everything, and had planned to watch it and everything, and then went and started, and I was like, oh, let me see how long it is, so I know how to plan through everything. And I looked, it was like 2.5 hours, and I'm like, Seth, I feel like you betrayed me a bit there on that one.
I didn't lie.
mean-
I didn't lie.
I stated you didn't lie, but at the same time, it felt like a lie, to be honest.
Two things can be true at once.
So, anyways, my thoughts on this movie. It is a Quentin Tarantino movie, which, man,
Full
I
stop.
am,
No.
I am. You know what? I sometimes I forget that the memes about the feet thing is like, it's not actually a meme. He likes to shoot feet. So,
He does.
and I didn't even think about that much until they had that scene in the movie theater where she pops up her legs. I'm like, oh, that's right, this is a Quentin Tarantino movie. My other thought is, oh, I always have troubles with Quentin Tarantino movies. Like, Inglourious Bastards, a movie that I should love and everything. I fell asleep twice watching that movie. And this is another movie where there's a lot of things I like about this movie, but at the same time, I don't love it. It should be a movie I would feel like I should love. Same thing with Inglorious Bastards. Just did not go well with me. There's a lot of interesting things they do with this movie, and we'll talk about that later. But anyways, so let's start off with the high notes and everything. Seth, what was your favorite parts about the movie?
My favorite part is Cliff Booth.
Cliff
Full
Booth.
stop.
What a surprise! Seth likes the cowboy.
Yeah. No, but really, Erica's probably tired of hearing me talk about this, but I really love the character of Cliff Booth. In fact, the second time I watched the movie, the thing I latched onto was Cliff. Now, there's other parts of it I love now after watching a couple more times, but he reminds me of my favorite DC comic superhero, and he reminds me of basically stoicism and all these things I love about my life. And so there's a line that he says in the movie multiple times, right? Where Cliff will say, and in fact, it's his last line too, but he goes, "I try." And it's like the whole movie is Cliff Booth, who is probably objectively not exactly the greatest of people, but trying to be a good friend, trying to be the best that he could be, kind of deal. And so he reminds me a lot of, for the DC Comics part, he reminds me of Vic Sage, sorry, the Question character, especially in the 1980s Dennis O'Neil run. Because if you ever read that run, it's about a very flawed character who honestly just fails so often, but he keeps trying and he keeps coming out there and still trying to do the best he can. And so I picture Brad Pitt as the Question when I read that, because it's just perfect, especially Cliff Booth version. But then it's also to me, he gets some of the best lines. Like Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a little bit. He does a great job acting here, right? But to me, Cliff just steals every scene he's in. Brad Pitt's just he comes in, he's like, yeah, it's my movie now. And it's great, and it is fantastic. He has my favorite scenes in here, and he has some of the best humor. And so he makes the movie for me. I think if you were to, sometimes we talk about if you recast a role, it would improve or it'd make the movie that much better. I feel like this is one of the prime examples of, if you recast the role of Cliff Booth, I think the movie might even fall apart and feel like it doesn't have as great as Leo did in this movie. I don't mean that as a knock on his acting. In fact, I think he did some of the best acting I've seen him do in this movie. But without Brad Pitt in this movie, I don't know. I think if you recast him with any actor, even actors I love, I don't think that this works anywhere near as well. So yeah, Brad Pitt's my highlight.
I will agree with you this, because Brad Pitt's definitely the soul of this movie. On another point, Question. When they had Justice League Unlimited, one of my favorite episodes was the one with the Question in it, and with Huntress, the Question and Huntress one. One of the best episodes by far. So when you brought that up, I honestly thought you were going to say Jonah Hex at first, but Question's a good pick. I feel like.
Yeah, the Question, he doesn't get enough. Question does not get enough respect, especially that 80s comic run.
All right, Erica.
I thought a lot about okay, what do I really like about this movie? And I think the thing that I like the most is that obviously it's a retelling, right? It's what we kind of wish would have happened. Not kind of, what we wished would have happened. And I like that they told a Manson story, but it wasn't about Manson, and he was never the main part of it. And I like that we get to see the people that were part of his group get what they should have gotten for the things that they actually did. So I like that, because it felt like a sense of justice in a way, getting some vengeance out there.
Yes.
But it didn't glorify Manson in any way, which I loved.
Yeah, that was sort of one of the aspects of the movie I was curious about with you in particular, Erica, because I know a lot of times we've talked about the serial killers in the movies and stuff like that with your other picks, and so I was like, I wonder what her take is on the fact that how they portrayed Manson and Manson clan and everything.
Yes.
Jared.
I don't know if that's a popular take, but it's mine.
What was your favorite part about the movie? You mute, man.
That right.
There we go. We got you.
Hey, my favorite part about this movie was I'll start off with it was not a it did not feel like a Quentin Tarantino movie. I'll start out with that. It did not feel like a Quentin Tarantino movie. He likes to do his movies like in stage play style, where it's like different acts or stories throughout,
Hmm.
which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like you do it for every movie. Like it's cool how you set it up in different areas, and so I really enjoyed that. I I got to enjoy a Quentin Tarantino movie without like eye rolling for the entire movie. Uh, so I will. That's I gotta call a spade on that. So that's like number one. But obviously, it's Brad Pitt and everything that he did, um, from like his mannerisms to his accent to his just body work, non facial, non verbal work, the way that he interacted with like every other character. Uh, it it is one movie that I felt that I was like there. It's like one of those rare movies where you feel like I'm not really bored because I feel like I'm within the conversation. And I know that's what Tarantino likes to do a lot, but he makes it too highbrow at times. Highbrow, sorry, take that back. Pretentious. There we go. Not even highbrow. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. But yeah, Brad Pitt, Tarantino not being full of himself. Uh, love the take on alternate history, and this is I felt like Leo did a really good job as well.
Agree.
But I like Seth and I always talk. We think that Brad Pitt is a better actor, and this movie clearly showed it because every time they're on screen together, you always went with Brad Pitt. Uh, Also, shout out to the child actress. She's gonna make my
Hmm.
sixth man. I'm just gonna go and say that. I don't know.
Julia Butters.
Yeah, Julia Butters. Yeah, she's my sixth man. I don't care. Uh,
Spoiler. No.
so like, sorry to spoil it early, but she was fantastic. Uh, but yeah, no,
Okay.
it's a lot to like.
So for me, my favorite part, clearly above everything else for me, everyone else has had a little bit of a take on it, but for me, it's just the acting in general, and I can see why, because you're doing a period piece about Hollywood and about popular Hollywood actors. So, yeah, I can see why you got a lot of good actors just really doing a good job showing off their acting skills, and I feel like that's the strongest part. That I felt like everyone came in and was like, "Yeah, we're going to work hard on acting." And we got Quentin Tarantino as the director. We're talking about Hollywood in the '60s. Like this movie had a feeling of like when everyone came in. It was a lot of fun to work on, and I felt like the movie did do a good job on that. What's up?
To, to tag on with that too, movies about Hollywood tend to fall into like two categories most of the time, like negative anyway, two negative categories at least. And that's going to be like super pretentious and like, it feels like this weird pat on the back,
Yeah.
look at us, pat on the back, look at us. Or it turns into this really like esoteric joke thing that just comes across again as pretentious, but in a different way. Like they're trying to make jokes at themselves and like, and this one really balanced that line between let's tell a story set in Hollywood that, yeah, there's some, you know, celebration of the history of Hollywood and old Hollywood and old LA and stuff. But it's all, and there's some self-deprecation where, you have the running bit about Rick Dalton. You buy in LA, you're not from here, you're not just passing through, and the his face in the driveway from his poster, which is apparently based on an actual actor, Lee Van Cleef, that we've talked about before, had that in his garage from the Man with No Name trilogy or something. And so like you have all of that, but like it also doesn't go too far into the, oh, look at us Hollywood. It's, here's the story. Let's focus on the story that happens to be in Hollywood, and that's a hard thing for I think Hollywood people to do and pull off.
Try not to
And I'm not,
glamorize it too much. Yeah.
yeah, or get so self-deprecating that it kind of loses its effect. And I don't really like Tarantino, but I give him credit for that. He did well in this case.
I think part of the reason why is because he's like a big history of like the movies and everything, and I feel like that really reflects in this movie. Especially when you were talking about Erica with the movie The Hateful Eight, and he was making the big deal of the what was it, the 80 millimeter or something, the certain. Seth's face, like, yeah, I remember that whole shenanigans.
It was so long.
Yeah, I felt like a day. It's not even that long of a movie. I mean, it's long, but it just felt
No,
long.
dude, fuck that movie.
Yeah. I love the cast. I love westerns. Hell no.
No, it's not even a good fucking western. It's not even a good western. It's a slap in the face to westerns. I
Preach.
that's what I'm talking about when it comes like that right there is when we talk about one of Erica's favorite movies. She had the poster Scarface. He got so high off his own supply, like he was just huffing his own fucking farts in that movie. And it's literally that. It's like I couldn't even enjoy the fucking acting in that movie, and it's crazy because the act, like, if I just take a step back and just like watch, okay, Kurt Russell is doing a good job, Samuel Jackson's doing a good job,
Walton Goggins.
Walter Goggins,
Walter.
Walden.
Walton.
Put some respect on Boyd Crowder's name.
Walter Goggins. No.
You know, Walsh Goggins was doing a great job.
I hate you so much.
Channing Tatum.
Well, you
Fucking Channing Tatum supremacy here. Channing Tatum supremacy. I
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
love Channing Tatum.
He's so good.
But yeah, I
Oh.
couldn't even enjoy them because of how just like shit fuckery that movie was. Sorry, this is about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I was
you
about to
bring
say
up a
we're
good
rolling.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Bring
alright.
up a good point.
No.
Wait,
This is what happens when I don't host. I just go on tangents.
you bring up a good point because what I was gonna say is in most Tarantino movies, everybody is literally like, it's ridiculous. At least lately, it just feels like over the top, excessive. Like everybody's overacting and not just like focused on the skill. And I feel like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, everybody was intentional with what they were doing, even in the parts where the actors were acting in the movie, but they were also acting in the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio. Like it was just the intentionality of the things that they did was really well done, and it wasn't like ridiculous.
Some of the cuts on that I thought were rather interesting because my brain would be like, "Oh, I'm really getting into this. This is a good movie. I want to see this movie. What movie is this?"
For the record, you cannot watch Lancer anywhere, and I have tried multiple times to find a physical copy of that show, the real show that it was based off of.
Really?
But also to defend Jared, which I'm uncomfortable doing, but I'm going to do it anyways, and his tangent. I feel like you can't really talk about a Quentin Tarantino movie without talking about Quentin Tarantino movies. So, to your credit, it's hard not to talk about his other movies because he is a director that, while he doesn't do the whole M. Night Shyamalan or the Alfred Hitchcock put himself in the movie kind of deal. He is a part of the movie. Like his movies are very much his movies, and this one feeling different than his movies is significant. Just like Jordan mentioned at the top when it was about how Inglourious Bastards, my second favorite Quentin Tarantino movie, is a movie that put him to sleep. Right? I don't like Tarantino movies, so like it's a very low bar to be the second best. But there is a gap for the record for me in his rankings of movies for me. But like, it's just one of those things where you kind of have to. Like Tarantino is almost as much a part of this as the acting and anything else. But Erica. So to wrap up or connect back to what you said, yes, the acting within the acting, specifically Leo, absolutely.
All right, guys. Now that we talked about what we liked, now let's talk about what we did not like about this movie. Seth, you go first.
Dang. Well, it's gonna be short for me this time.
Really?
Yeah, so like when I first watched, I'll tell you what I didn't like the first time I watched it because that would be a little bit more interesting than what I don't like now. What I didn't like when I first watched it is I had no freaking clue what I was watching. I did not realize this was a retelling of the Sharon Tate story. I did not realize that that's Sharon Tate's story. I know who Charles Manson was. I know he killed a bunch of people, but I never really cared about
Oh,
Helter Skelter because what? Well, yeah, but you know what I
nothing.
mean. Yeah, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Like his little hippie friends and everything like that. I had no idea what was going on. So as I'm watching this movie, I didn't quite get the point of it. I think the first time I was watching it, so I was like, okay, I'm watching these two guys act, and then they kill a bunch of hippies.
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, cool, but so, and then when I
No.
realized, oh, it's a retelling because Sharon Tate died, I'm like, okay, so and I think that's one of those things, recontextualizations, right? Like, Nope, for me, when I first watched it, did not care for it because I thought it was an alien movie. When I rewatched it under the idea that it's not an alien, it's a different apex predator that's in the sky, and then the idea of spectacles, I'm like, oh my god, I love this movie now. So when I rewatched this movie, I loved it then. But if you go into this movie, A, not knowing the history of Sharon Tate and the murders that happened, right? And B, you go into this movie not understanding it's doing this retelling while telling you the story about like a all-time great cinematic friendship type deal, right? You're gonna be really confused. I think you're gonna get real lost. You're gonna be like, "What the hell are we? Why? Why are we watching Caleb Decato? And
Decatu.
Decato, that's what it was. And Raylan Givens Light go at it. What's going on? But no, I mean, anyway, Timothy Olyphant's amazing, but he was definitely doing Raylan Givens when he was doing Johnny Madrid. I'm just saying that's why I didn't like it at first. Now, here's my problems with it now. The sequel by David Fincher of Cliff Booth hasn't come out yet. That's my problem with
Oh
this
my
movie now.
god.
That's my only problem with this movie now. I've watched this movie 7 times. I love this movie. Probably more than seven. I'm actually probably lowballing it, but
He
So
is.
he already definitely told what his vote's going to be with that one. Jared, you brought your hand up there. Did you have something to
Yeah.
comment off of?
No, I do want to say that I don't want to disagree with Seth as he agreed with me earlier, but I only knew about Sharon Tate and I just thought she was in this movie. I didn't know that it was going to be around the Helter Skelter. Because remember, I had zero context. You just yelled at me for like a week straight to watch this. And then I want to watch a Quentin Tarantino movie.
hey,
After
speaking of, watch Thunderbolts. Anyway, continue.
Oh, Thunderbolt's so good.
I,
I
It
really
is so
enjoyed
good.
it.
Let him speak.
well, no. After Phil and I sat in the movie theater for it felt like 5 hours to watch Hateful Eight, um, we actually had to order two rounds of food and two different drinks just to make it through it. But
Fair.
I swore off Tarantino movies. I was like, I'm only gonna watch Death Proof and that's it. Um, but I watched this not knowing anything, and besides you saying, and I was like, I was just into it. I didn't know, and then at the end, when I was like, oh, they're walking to Tate's house. Oh, it's supposed to be. Oh my gosh, this is what this movie is about. So I don't want to disagree with you, but I had no idea. I just went into it with just like Manson's in this, Tate's in this. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna go that route, but I think it's just people in Hollywood around that time. And yeah, that's why I was
Well,
surprised.
Seth, did you know anything about Sharon Tate, really? Or
No, no,
you had
I'll
no idea.
straight up. I
Okay.
That was a hole for me.
I think
Like,
I told you.
yeah, give me William Powell, Myrna Loy from like 30s to 40s. I can talk about that and all these. That was for some reason there's just this massive hole of knowledge for me that was Sharon Tate's existence. I knew who Roman Polanski was, but not for anything good.
Erica, quick question before you give
Yes.
your point. So, do you know a good amount of the history here and what the difference was? I was just curious.
Well,
Okay. I was going to say, if you do,
yeah.
I would
Well,
like a
no,
little side note here after we talk where you could talk about what you want to about the history of what actually happened compared to the movie.
yeah. It's brutal. And I remember the first time watching this, and like Jared said, like you think they're going to Sharon Tate's house, and like my stomach was in knots because I was like, oh, I don't want to see this. Like it was horrible. Like she was pregnant. Whew. But like you feel that tension and you're like, oh shit, like this is the murder about to happen, and then the relief you feel when you see the house that they actually walk into is sweet justice, which I think is why I like it so much. But I'm not a Manson expert by any means or anything like that, but I've done, I know quite a bit
Okay.
about it.
All right. Let's cover what you did not like about the movie.
So, honestly, not much. I'm trying to like really think. It was very different. I guess like while I do appreciate that it wasn't about Manson fully, or that he wasn't like a main character, I do like the actor that played him because he was in Justified. So I kind of would have liked to see a little bit more of how he portrayed him. But again, like this movie did such a good job paying respect to Sharon Tate, and it's like a good thing and a bad thing. Like I didn't really want to see more of that, but also I was curious to see how he would portray him. Just because it's very interesting to watch actors act. I don't know.
Which character was he then? Because they didn't really say, they didn't call him or anything. So I did. Was it the guy that he punched it with the tire and everything, or who?
No, so I don't know if you remember earlier in the movie, a long-haired gentleman walks around like what Rick Dalton's house and asks like, "Oh, does so and so live here
Okay.
still?"
Yeah.
Or no. He walks up and Sharon's friend, he asks him, "Does so and so still live here?" And he says no. So that was Manson, which I
Okay.
think is how they identified the victim, the original victims. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. So that's interesting. You brought that out. I was curious what was up with that scene, but I
Yeah.
not knowing any of the history other than someone was murdered. And that's about all I know. So that's interesting. Anyways, for me, I think the big issue I had with the movie was it sort of meandered, and I'm trying to figure out what is this movie about for a good chunk of this movie. And I'm wondering if that's the same issue Seth had first time, and so that's why I'm curious if I see it a second time how I will take this movie. Because to me, this movie mostly just felt like, oh, just a random time in Hollywood, just following these actors, and I was like, all right. And I knew briefly that there was something to do with Manson, but I didn't know how much, or anything like that. But just from people talking about the movie. So yeah, I think the big issue I had was I just felt lost for this movie. And-
That that's fair, and I think this is one of those movies that if you do a second time, having known now like where it's going, like what it's trying to do, I think that can be a cure for that, which is either a detriment to a movie that hey, your first time through you should probably know what's going on kind of deal, or it can be a shout out to being layered, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it. But that's fair.
See, for me,
That's how I felt with
I
this one.
like movies that when you rewatch it, you gain stuff like, oh, I missed that, and that it adds to the finale. But I liked it the first time watching. I could figure out what's going on with this movie and what's the point of this movie, other than just to tell an, an actor who's going through his midlife crisis as an actor, pretty much. Which I thought that was interesting. The book he picked out, talking about the Western one when he was talking to the kid, which
Which
was like,
sadly is not real.
it's not
I
real.
want to I want to read the book. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, what book is this? It's made up intentionally for that. So it was supposed to be that, mirroring, and I'm very sad. Lancer
Okay.
was real, so I thought maybe the book would be real.
How many of the
Uh,
movies that they showed were real, or like the
uh,
flamethrower one?
no, every Rick Dalton thing was fictional.
Okay.
His bounty law is very similar to Wanted, Dead or Alive, which is Steve McQueen's Western TV show that kickstarted his career. So like I think there are some things that were similar. Although the 14 Fist of McCluskey's was basically Inglorious Bastards,
Okay.
but like in the 60s. You know, if you like really think about it, you know, like someone else that made the movie. So yeah, those were fake, but Lancer was real. The Wrecking Crew obviously was real, uh, which Erica had a really cool point on that when we were watching it. Uh, do you want to talk about it, Erica? I don't want to steal your thunder here because you're the one who said it when we were watching.
You know, I'd just be saying stuff. No, I just think it was a really special way to honor her. Because obviously, like, her career did not last very long. So I thought that was, like, probably the most respectful thing they could have done, considering they, you know, put Leo in these old movies and, like, imposed him over and, like, did all those things, right? They easily could have put Margot Robbie in the scenes. But they didn't. And I thought that was, like, so respectful. And, I don't know, they didn't really make a mockery of her either. Which, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Some of these movies that have her portrayed in them are kind of like, okay, why did we do this? You know, like, was this necessary? Did we really have to spend money to do this? But I think, Seth, you told me that her sister was, like, on board with this, and she actually got to wear some of the pieces and things like that in the movie. So it was pretty cool.
Of jewelry. She
Yeah.
actually wore Sharon Tate's jewelry in the movie.
Which a lot
After-
of time, yeah, victims and families don't usually want to participate in those kinds of things. So that's how you can tell that there was care put into it, which, you know, I wouldn't expect Quentin Tarantino. I'll just say. So
All right. So I guess the next part that we're going to do is.
So you're not going to ask me what I didn't like?
Oh, sorry. I thought I did.
No one
My
cares,
bad.
Jared.
Jared.
No one wants to hear
My
it.
bad. No, I completely thought we did that. All right.
No, I just want to say that, I mean, there's not much that I really, like, didn't like in this movie. The first time I watched it, I kind of agree. I thought just, like, spending too much time with, Rick Dalton at some points, the first time I watched it, I was like, I kind of just want to go to Cliff. Why am I right here with, Dalton? Like, can we speed this up? But then the second time I watched it, I think I appreciated Rick Dalton's, like, crash out more. I appreciated the Bruce Lee fight scene a lot more the second time around. I texted Seth as soon as I saw that part. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot how awesome this is. No, I appreciate it more about it the second time, but it's still, even on the rewatch, even though I appreciate the Rick Dalton parts, I kind of just wanted to get to the Cliff parts even more, and I think that's the, like, running theme for me. And it's not that I get he is the main character. I get that, but Cliff just did a better job. Brad Pitt just did a better job, and so that's nothing against the movie. I just wanted to spend more time with Cliff.
I understand. We talked about how he was pretty much the soul of this movie, and so I get that. You brought up the Bruce Lee. Was that a nod to anything? I'm just curious. Does anybody know of them fighting?
So Bruce Lee's family doesn't like that scene.
Mm-hmm. I can see,
and neither does the country of China. Like the whole country. They were not going to release the movie, and they hinted it was because of that scene. They said if you delete that scene, we'll show the movie. And Tarantino basically just gave them the finger and said, "Yeah, I'm not taking it out." And Tarantino's argued with his family too, saying the depiction I had was accurate based off of, like, actual discussion. So, and the thing is you look at Bruce Lee's career. I don't know Bruce Lee, obviously, because it was before my time, right?
Yeah.
But you see some of the quotes, and he was an accomplished fighter, a creative mind. The idea of him being a little arrogant is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
And I say that knowing full dang well that we are watching a Quentin Tarantino movie. And I mean, that man can't really argue against the idea that arrogance is necessarily bad, because I've heard that man speak.
You bring that up about arrogance, and there's a term that I've used I got from a friend, which I thought was hilarious, is Bruce Lee cockiness. Because when you're so
Yeah.
good at something, where you're allowed to be a bit cocky. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, right? You know.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say that I was like to be like the best at your craft, like you have to be unhinged in certain ways, uh,
Mhm.
because you look at the great in like, well, I mean, we pull like professional sports, shit. Jordan, insane, psychopath. Tom Brady, literally divorced his wife to go spend more time with 100 dudes in a locker room for 8 more months. Uh, to then when it gets to like even like new like Kobe, may he rest in peace. Like this man literally studied hunting patterns of sharks. You have to be unhinged. You have to be a little crazy. You have to be a little arrogant. No problem to it. Plus, I think China's pissed off that he got his ass kicked, which I don't think that would actually happen in real life. But uh, I could see why they're mad. But yeah, he's fucking arrogant. What are we talking about?
Yeah, which is again, I don't mean any disrespect to them at all because it's
Zero
like you said,
disrespect, but hell yeah, he's arrogant.
he had earned Bruce Lee earned the right to be a little arrogant, and being a little arrogant doesn't mean we also saw him be very kind and train Sharon Tate,
Hmm.
even though it's not a verbal scene. We got to see that too, so it wasn't like all they showed was Bruce Lee being an arrogant a hole. He was also someone who trained Sharon and other things. So it's like we know this. Also, that was an absolutely hilarious line because when you say my fists are a deadly weapon, if I kill someone, I go to jail, and he's like, yeah, no shit, it's called manslaughter. Like everyone goes to jail for that. It's like, yeah,
I did get
it
a good
really
laugh
is.
from that.
I was like, yeah, I don't know, it was great.
Did she never get her car fixed? Because I feel like when we saw her car again, and it was like 9 months later, it still had that dent in it.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Oh wait, hold on. Before we forget that too, to Jared's point, by the way, his negative. I will tell you, the more you watch the movie, the more the Rick Dalton scenes work.
Okay.
As someone who is it's one of those things. As much as I am a Cliff Booth like guy, I will tell you this last go around maybe even appreciate Rick Dalton a lot more in his character and how that helped play off of Cliff. Like they do play off each other very well the more you watch the movie. Not trying to say that you have to watch the movie over and over and over again, but I mean you should.
Okay.
Well, you'll find out at the end.
Okay. So we.
I'll watch it after this.
All right. Let's cover now favorite scene. We'll go with you, Seth, first.
I kind of already talked about it because it's definitely going to be the Bruce Lee moment. I just love that moment because you always hear like it's mainly that line of like, yeah, well, no shit, it's Gato, it's called manslaughter, everyone's gonna die. Like I love that whole flashback though sequence entirely, and mainly because the way it's bookended and the way it's done, right? So you have Cliff, he's going onto the roof, right? He's doing some work around the house. He kind of thinks about it, and then it kind of just cuts to this flashback sequence without any real like your typical tricks to show a flashback. Just goes into it. They're arguing. You got Rick with the great line of like, "Hey, look, it's just not no with excuses. Uh, it's the moment where he's like, just put them in the wardrobe. You do whatever you want." So they do that, and then you had the argument, you had the fight, and you had the get off the lot thing between the husband and wife, and you find out that oh, he almost, and you had a flashback within a flashback as well, because you had the guy say, "Oh, I just don't like the guy. He killed his wife," and then you had the flashback of that one of the nagging wife within the flashback, and then at the end of the entire sequence of events, you have Cliff popping open a beer on a roof, going, "Yeah, that's fair," and then just going to work. And like I just love that sequence there. Like so, it's not just the fight; it's the whole flashback. Because I mean, to say, "Oh, I have a flashback within a flashback," that sounds convoluted as hell. But when you're watching it, it's A, really not, and B, you just get this great book-ended moment of like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair." And I don't know, it's a great comedic thing while at the same time establishing Cliff's abilities for later in the movie, and at the same time establishing why people don't like him, and establishing Cliff not necessarily being, you know, He's a war hero, but he also has some problems, and so I like all the things I was able to do. So that's a little bit of a long scene, but it's my favorite.
Okay. Jared, how about you? Favorite scene?
Favorite scene is when he picks up, I'll just call her Cat.
I was wondering how you're gonna get around that one.
Yeah, I was just like, Cat. Yeah. We're respectful on this podcast, unless you're Zack Snyder. Um, so when he picks up Cat and they're in the car, they're talking, conversation, they get to the ranch, and then they're at the ranch talking, then like the just like tension that builds.
Yeah.
And it's just like great tension because it's like Tarantino, like he just lets the like ambient sound play. This is he didn't put any music behind that scene. He just let the ambient sound and just like the dialogue and the pauses, so you were able to like sit in that. And I think that was like really great. And then obviously he goes into the house. He sees the old man. He's blind. Then he goes back outside, and then the whole car tire where he like punches the shit out of that dude, and just that entire sequence from picking up Cat to like punching the shit out of that dude and fixing his car. It's just great dialogue, low music, just a lot of ambient sound and just like natural tension. And I think
Hmm.
that is what really he did a really good job like directing in there and just the acting altogether. Seth.
No, I was gonna say a fun fact about that guy he punches. It's actually a great foreshadowing of the ending because the guy he punches is a real guy who actually murdered somebody in real life, and who was like admitted to it and showed him where all the. Well, I'm not gonna go into too much horrific, gory details of that. But to have him actually beat that guy up, if you in the background, there's like this trivial trivia fact is that there's a ranch hand on there, and that was the guy. It's like alluded to that may have been the actual person that would have eventually been murdered by this
Hmm.
group had what happened at the end of the movie didn't happen. So it's like your first breakaway almost from reality of like the real reality timeline. So it's like a little foreshadowing hint of, oh hey, they're gonna kind of screw up the Sharon Tate murderers that show up and stuff. So you get a nice little foreshadow there.
Okay.
Which is another thing I love about the movie is that everything kind of builds on top of each other. The more you watch it, it's subtle sometimes, arguably unnecessarily, but you could argue wrong if you want to. It's fine.
All right. Erica, favorite scene?
So, as much as I like a lot of the scenes with Cliff and like all the tension building of the scenes, that I talked about, like the final scene, of course, and the scene Jared just talked about. I really, and I'm surprised Jared didn't say this considering his Sixth Man pick, but the scene between, what's her name? Little
Julia
Miss
Butters.
Butter, Julia Butters, and Leonardo DiCaprio is really good. Um, and like again, it's a quiet scene as well, and they're just having a conversation, and she's so like, I don't know, emotionally mature and um like a very compassionate for him as he's having, his little breakdown kind of as he's explaining the story he's reading. And I really just liked that because it felt so raw and real. And then there were even like little bits of humor in it too, where she's like, I don't like to be called things like Miss Pumpkin Puss or whatever she said. So sorry I said that word, but it was quoting. But yeah, I really liked that scene. I thought it was a bit of a change for the movie. So
So for me,
that and
what?
yeah, sorry. Well, I was gonna say those sweet moments, like at the very end too. The call box was very like sweet and like it just made you feel something. I like those two parts of the movie because it was like such a change of pace. So I had to mention that one too.
Yeah. I would say that you bring up the change of pace because it does. The movie does have quite a change of pace, especially when they all of a sudden bring in a narrator. So I thought that was an interesting pick. Anyways, for me, I am on two parts where I'm like, and you brought up a good scene too, but really, in when we're in the mansion, the ranch area, I think I'm going to go with. And Jared brought some good points with the tension because they really did a good tension without saying necessarily that they saying much. And the fact that they
Mhm.
didn't say much also added to the tension. It was just that low key speaking, like, okay, what is he doing now? And I'll handle it. And very subtle, which, if you're just reading it on text, I feel like wouldn't translate nearly as well as it being acted and showing on screen. And so I think for me that was the real standout, just because that that represents a okay, we got to our more main storyline here, what this movie's about when we get to that part. And that's right when I started feeling like everything coming together. And so that's why I'm going to have that as my favorite scene, because it really was got me into the story now. All
Good
right.
pick.
All right.
Let's go.
So, we got everyone's scene. I'm trying to think what next.
Next is MVP.
MVP.
Uh,
All right,
MVP.
trying to get used to this hosting deal and everything
It's
here.
all right. I'll be in better shape next week.
All right. So, Seth, who's your MVP for the movie?
Drum roll, please, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is gonna be-
I'm going to be shocked of what
It's
this
going to be as shocking as the first pick in the NBA draft.
It is actually
Super
because my answer is this meme.
This
All right.
Oh
me.
my god.
This meme. This is the MVP of the movie because you're
I hate it
doing
here.
this. It's the one thing we didn't talk about, so I got to bring it up now. The cast that was found through this movie. So the entire time when you watch it in 2025, this is you. You're like, oh,
Mhm.
speaking of you, you see Victoria Pedretti, you see
Yep.
Austin Butler, you see Sydney
Margaret
Sweeney.
Qualley.
Yes, I mean, there's so many people that you just see in this movie that are Mikey Madison, you know, the one who just won Best Actress, right? Maya Hawke, Dakota Fanning, right? Michael Madsen, Damian Lewis, Al Pacino, Tim Roth, Bruce Stern, Timothy Oliphant, Luke Perry, James Remar, all of these people in small roles in this movie. And it's like you're doing that. Anyway, that's not really my real MVP, but we didn't get a chance to mention that earlier, and I meant to, so I just had to do it there because y'all are all expecting me to say the obvious answer and unanimous MVP. I'm just gonna speak for all of y'all. It's fine. Is Brad Pitt?
All right.
Brad Pitt.
No surprise here. You've talked about him the whole movie and everything. So
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
I feel like you don't even have to explain why you picked that
Nah.
as your
Nope.
movie.
Please don't.
I don't. That's why I took my time to talk about the meme because like I don't need to explain. It's Brad Pitt.
I did like though. I almost made that same reaction when the meme came up as the meme. You know, like hey,
Yeah.
there's the meme.
No,
All right, next one, Jared.
Drum roll, please.
Brrrr.
It is one Cooper Flag coming to the Dallas Mavericks. Let's
I'm
go.
telling you.
First overall pick. Have fun with Ace Bailey, you losers.
Did that just happen?
It's Cliff Booth. It's Brad Pitt. What the hell are we talking about? Let's go.
yes. Yeah, I mean to the second one, not the first one. But
Okay.
yes, to the.
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
yes, it did just happen yesterday with the.
Oh, okay. Yes,
Water.
I thought that maybe he
Uh,
just broke news to you or something.
No, it'll be- it'll-
Actually,
it'll
they
be
won't even
drafted.
enjoy Ace Bailey. Enjoy Giannis.
That's not happening either. Not happening.
I hope so. That's
I-
like
I-
dream scenario.
Uh,
I hope
Bucks,
Ah.
Bucks enjoy Ace Bailey.
Once again, I'm the one person sitting here in the chair being like, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea about this NBA.
Our goal is to get Jordan to watch basketball. That's
What
the
is
new
this
goal.
So-
NBA?
What is this
Listen.
NBA and everyone talking
It's
about
so
it?
rigged. This league is so rigged, and I love it.
My favorite part about basketball is coming up with nicknames for all the players, and that's how I really got into it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And no, she does not call any of them by their actual nicknames.
No.
It's her own version of nicknames.
hmm
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not even the
You
players'
not mix it.
well-known nicknames. It's
No.
just random
No, no.
nicknames. Well,
Mhm.
can you give me an example of your random nicknames there?
Jared helped with this one. Jimbo Hardy.
Hey, Jimbo.
That's James Harden.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
James Harden.
Jim.
There's Mickey Threes.
Mickey
For-
Threes.
for
CJ
CJ
McCollum.
McCollum.
Yeah.
Hold
Mickey
on.
Threes.
my favorite is Turtleneck Jones
Turtleneck Jones!
for Antonio Daniels, who is an announcer for the Pelicans.
He
He's
always
not
wears
even
turtlenecks
named
with a
Jones.
blazer. But
He's
that's
not-
his name, okay?
It's not his name.
It just makes sense. But we're not talking about that, okay? But yeah, you just gotta find something fun about it, and then, you know.
All right. So, Erica, since you brought us the lovely nicknames and everything, who's your MVP for the movie?
Come on,
I
now.
am gonna have to go with Cliff Booth. I love Brad Pitt. The older I get, it has nothing to do with what he looks like, but like I just appreciate him so much more, and he's in like one of my favorite movies, Bullet Train. But I think he just did a really great job, and I can't wait to see a sequel. So
Did you see the new trailer to F1 starring him?
She's not excited, but I'm making her to
okay.
go see it. Don't
I'll
worry.
watch it.
We're going to
Not
see
bad.
it.
I
I'm
would
excited.
also appreciate if he was a better dad to his kids. I would appreciate that. Too.
That part.
Can't go without saying that.
I mean,
he's a pretty shitty father.
Oh, I have no
Yeah.
idea about his history.
Somewhat abusive. So yeah, gotta say
We're
that.
choosing to ignore that for the sake of the
I'll focus on his art.
art for
but
now.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah,
now.
he apparently has his demons.
Okay. Anyways, hopefully he fights his demons as well as he acts, because I also have him. He's a clean sweep for MVP. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, he's pretty much the soul of this movie. A lot of the feelings and everyone gravitates to him, and so yeah, he's the clear MVP with this movie.
All right, hold on. Speaking of MVP, I have to share one more nickname.
Okay.
For the NBA championship future MVP, Jalen Brunson, aka Brunson Burner. So just have to share that one. So.
I think I'm going to put your little NBA clip. I'm just going to put a little bit at the beginning for the intro, so people are really confused about the movie and everything.
Brunson Burner.
All right, so we have our MVP. So who is now the sixth man? Man who got off the bench, didn't start, but was like, all right, I got this. Seth.
So my pick is there's three characters, and I'm gonna talk through this real quick, and that's how I'm gonna pick. Cause I honestly I've been thinking about this the whole time I watched the movie from you and everything. So there's the dog Brandy. There is I mean it's just great. There, and I don't know their names, and one of them I can't say. So Mikey Madison is also up there for the unhingedness that was the end of that movie. And then there is Margaret Qualley. I'm not gonna Cat.
Cat, yes.
I leaned. So they're all good, and there's so many small parts and so many bits roles here that like helped carry this movie through. Like even Timothy Oliphant for this little he was on this scene was great, and I might be slightly biased on that one, but I gotta go. I'm gonna go with the safe answer here and say the dog.
Okay.
Brandy. I don't. Look. Here's the thing. You got to keep in mind that
the dog saved the day.
Yes,
Honestly.
and that training and like the tongue licking thing when he was putting the food down was hilarious, and also it's the one most directly connected to Cliff Booth.
Oh my God.
It shows his character. It helps bring out his character, his training, his love for the dog. It does everything, and I can't wait to see Brandy in the sequel, which is happening. Just in case y'all actually don't know, Erica thought I was kidding this whole time when I was telling her about the David Fincher directed sequel. I'm so excited. I like David Fincher, and I like Cliff Booth, and Tarantino's writing it, so like you'll get the same characterization, but with David Fincher's eye. I'm here for it.
All right, so Seth, what is your pick for sixth man?
The dog.
Brandy.
The dog.
Oh, sorry,
The dog.
Jared. I don't know why I said Seth again. My bad. Jared, What is your
No,
pick
no,
for the
no.
Sixth
I
Sense?
know why you said Seth, because you're like, all right, Seth, for real now. What's your pick? So no, you're right. That was a Freudian slip.
I can't.
You was
I
like, Seth, be for
look,
real.
look. There are 3 very good nominations, but
No, all right.
obviously the dog wins.
Jordan, you did not make a mistake. Trust me. There's Julia Butters, of course, Trudy Frazier, which I just learned she is a nepo baby. Dang, it be your favorites. They're all just like nepo babies. Her
There's
father's
a lot
an
of nepo babies.
I know her father's an animator at Disney. She's going to be in the new Freakier Friday coming.
The
up,
Freakier
which I'm excited to see what role she's going to play, or how big of a role she will play. I didn't say the movie, Seth. I said
Okay.
her role.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, I'm just saying. You said
But yeah,
excited
she's
and
my
Freakier
favorite
Friday at the same
scene
time.
because, as Erica said, like that is a great scene. Sorry, it was probably my third favorite scene of the movie, but no, she was just like fantastic through that entire sequence on set. So she killed it in her time, and she was like believable as an actor in the show and actor in real life, but then actor in real life while actor in the show. As we talked about earlier, actorception, movieception. But yeah, no, she was great. I picked her. She's my sixth man, Julia Butters.
Okay. Erica, what is your pick for Sixth Man?
So he's not my pick, but I do feel like we would be like, or like it would be sad not to mention Austin Butler is very talented, and I don't know. I'm just like he just did a great job in this. Like he was different at the ranch than he was on the night, and like I felt kind of scared of him. Before everything happened, I was like, oh shit. I just think he does a really good job, and I'm excited to see what he continues to do. I know he's done a lot of more serious work versus, the Carrie Diaries about 13 years ago. But I'm gonna have to agree with Jared. I do think she is someone to look out for, and I do think like she brought a lot to that scene, and like I said, it was my favorite scene. So how could she not be that? Be the sixth man. So.
For me, I am going to go with Kat, and I think I'm going to go with Kat because she played that just the right amount of crazy, where she's trying to be a bit sympathetic, but not. But then you're like, oh no, this is a whole crazy mess. And I thought that was a really fine edge to play, and I thought she did a great job on it, because I'm like, oh boy, this is a whole nother kin caboodle of mess that she's a part of.
Kit and caboodle, nice.
So, anyone, do you guys have any shout outs you want to call out? Someone who's like, you can't be quite six man, but hey, you did a great shot, and I have to give it to you. Seth.
The dog. The dog.
No.
The dog is the shout out. Not the
Brandy
dog.
was in
The dog
movie
is
a
the
lot.
sixth man, and I will die on that hill.
The dog
But
is
no,
the shout out. Shout out to that
shout-out.
dog.
the shout out is the casting director of this movie. Because as we established, this is the movie that launched careers.
Okay.
Careers.
Careers.
Yeah, shout out to the dog.
Is that going to be your shout out for real there,
Yeah,
Jared?
No, because that's where the dog goes in the shout out. Because the dog did a really good job. So shout out.
Jared's a speciesist. He just doesn't like dogs. All right, like he has a cat and he's just being speciesist. If don't ignore him. The dog deserved the nomination.
Erica, your shout out.
Well, I already gave one to Austin Butler, but I have to also shout out Dakota Fanning because that girl can also act.
Yeah.
She's really good. And she was in a lot of movies that I really loved growing up. But also to I forgot what I was gonna say. You know who I'm not shouting out? Lena Dunham. I don't like her.
You don't like her? Okay.
No. Something's off about that person.
So for me, my shout out, if he had more scenes in the movie, I think he would be the sixth man. But he only had one scene, but it was a very good scene. That's Mike Moe for his portrayal of Bruce Lee. That is going to be my shout out. I mean, he did such a good job. I'm like, holy crap, that's pretty much Bruce Lee on screen. I felt like when I saw him. So I am going to give him a shout out. He had his sounds he makes. He had it's what his body looks. Dude was like, yeah, I am Bruce Lee, bitches. So anyway, that's my pick for this shout out. All right, do we got anything else to cover? We're going straight to the game. I think that's it. All right. So, since I am hosting this time on it, all right, Rotten Tomatoes. So, who won last time? I think it was me. I don't have my notes.
No, I won.
Erica won. Okay. So,
Yeah.
Seth, what is going to be your pick for Rotten Tomatoes?
My pick is going to be 88. The reason why is some people are going to ding it for its pacing and length for the same reasons that we did the first time we watched it all. And other people are going to love it for the Hollywood because it's Hollywood. And so there's some of that, pretentious pat yourself on the back kind of deal going on. And the acting is just great. So I think the majority are going to find favor with it. I think some are going to dislike it. 88.
That is a good number for covering a good range right there, I feel like, for a solid movie. All right, Jared, what is your pick?
Since it had Leo and Brad, and especially Margot around this time, I feel like Hollywood had a hard on for them all. Not saying that's not deserved. Don't get that twisted. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna go 92.
Oh man, you are really positive on this movie. 92. All right.
I mean, I think it should be at 97.
His movies, I feel like people either really love them or really hate them, and it just like, and when they really love them, they all rate it like, oh, this is top 10 cinema of all time.
Yeah, I could see definitely if you're a typical movie critic, that type of role and everything, loving this movie and everything. Surprisingly not, I don't feel like this was much of a Oscar grab for a lot of times where time period actor movies about Hollywood try to be, but they do love these movies.
Personally, to me, that makes this movie even better. I'm sorry. It just
That it tried not to be an Oscar bait.
Yeah, because like even like this type of movie is easy to get Oscar bait, especially with Tarantino trying to be full of himself and everything. Like this movie was like easy Oscar bait, but he didn't lean into it, and so that's why I'm like it made me like this more, or appreciate this movie more.
Erica, what is your pick?
85.
85.
Just because.
Thanks for not boxing me in, guys. I really appreciate it. Left me a lot of
You're
open-ended
welcome.
space there.
We
It's
do.
cool.
Box out Seth.
We have a winner, and they almost got it right on. Interesting enough, the audience. Guess what the audience was? It was a 70. So quite a bit of difference from the
Whoa.
reviews. Yeah, because
That doesn't shock me though.
yeah,
'Cause we've already established this is not a typical Tarantino movie, and it's meandering the first time you watch it, and if you don't know exactly what's going on, it can be kind of confusing. So that actually tracks for the amount of people who probably won't watch it a second time.
yeah, I could see that. We'll get that back in on our recommendations and everything on this movie. But the critic score got an 86. So Erica, once again, with the win.
Yeah.
Just missing it by one.
Well, to be fair, this was my first try at this game in over a year. Because remember,
Look.
I hosted every episode last year.
I'm just glad, even though I'm scoreless so far, that at least Jared didn't get it before me, because that would have been embarrassing.
All right.
And it's probably my last time playing this year too. So
Thank God, because I'm in a slump right now. All right, I keep losing, and I'm losing by like 2. Like someone gets like 85 to 86, and I'm over here like at 88 to 87. I mean, like I'm barely losing here.
All right. So we're going to do recommendations for this movie, and we're going to start off. You, Seth, do you recommend this movie?
So this is, I think the last couple ones we've done, I've always been like, no hesitation, watch the dang movie. Doesn't matter who you are. Uh, I will tell you that I do recommend the movie, but it does. I would probably not do this as a, like, I'd tell a little bit about it, right? Like, hey, just make sure, maybe read up on Sharon Tate. Make sure you kind of understand the time period that's going on here, so you can understand everything that's going on in the movie the first time you watch it, and just like get that. And you're probably gonna need to watch it twice to even fully get it, because it's kind of hard. It's easy to miss things in this movie. There's a lot going on. So yes, I recommend it, but it's always like, this is gonna be one of those ones I'm recommending it after you do a teeny, eensy beensy amount of homework. Like, just seriously, Wikipedia the Sharon Tate thing, you're fine. But yes, I do recommend it to everybody, but with the caveat, make sure you do a little bit of homework first.
So Seth with a recommendation, but you have to do your homework first. Interesting. Jared.
Um, I'm recommending this to everyone that's not a Quentin Tarantino bro, because the audience score kind of reflects that. Uh,
Good
which
point.
So you're
but,
recommending for people who don't watch Tarantino movies?
Quentin Tarantino, no, because they're gonna be let down and upset. And so I don't want to upset them because they're already unhinged if they like Tarantino. So, yeah.
Erica, what
Yeah.
is your recommendation?
Recommend it. I like this. I think it's different. And to Jared's point, like anybody who's not a Tarantine bro, there we go. That's who we're recommending it to.
All right, so for me, I don't. This is gonna be a tough movie for me to recommend. I would, if I would have given it a review, I would have given it a positive, but it would slightly just be above positive and everything. The pacing and just feeling a bit of lost in the movie, like with the storyline, where we're going with that definitely hit, and yeah, and so I'm going to say I'm going to have to. I'm basically giving you like a 5 minute speech, and then have you make your decision if you want to see this movie. Because I have to get my thoughts out about it while I'm talking to you about it, and like with Jared, or what Seth said about the homework and everything, is like, yeah, you have to be aware of this, or you will be really lost. Because I know a little bit about the whole Manson part of this movie, but not that much, and so I was like, yeah, if you want to enjoy the movie better, I feel like you need to see it or know this part of it. So really weird recommendation for me to give out, but that's how I feel like I would state this movie. Anyways, all right, that's done. How does everyone feel I did on my first job hosting on this podcast?
Wait.
Oh no, you forgot the name of the show. So you
Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay. What? I wasn't quite at the end of there, but okay, yes. The whole point of this the podcast, is for the Hall of Fame. We have to choose. Does this go under our Hall of Fame? All right, Seth, is this going to go under your Hall of Fame?
I don't know. So here's the thing about rewatching movies. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's going in for me. I don't rewatch movies a whole lot. So when I do rewatch a movie more than like twice, like that's a fairly, I suck at rewatching, rereading. I don't like going back to stories all that much. So this is one of those movies that, like, yeah, I'm probably gonna rewatch this movie like again, like this year, without, like, not even being
With
funny.
no
Like,
reason.
I've already watched it. Yeah, I've already watched it. I think I watched it either at the tail end of last year or at the beginning of this year. I can't remember when. I got halfway through it, then I got interrupted, so I wasn't able to go back and finish it because we had to resume and restart it when we watched it the other day. And I watched it for this podcast, and I'm probably going to watch it again later this year. Like, I love this movie. There's a novelization that I want to read for this, and I can't wait for a sequel because I love the world that this movie was in. I always like get kind of bummed out that I don't get more Cliff Booth. So like I'm very excited about that. In case I'm not being clear. So yes, to me this is a resounding yes because this is the movie that like, yeah, I'm stopping to watch. Yes, I'm going to rewatch it. It's not even in question.
Jared, is this going in your Hall of Fame?
Um, this is a tough one for me because after watching it, I really want to watch it again. I feel like more compelled to watch it more so now than I did when I watched it the first time. So I am not sure. Maybe if I have the same feeling after watching it a third time, it's autumn. Yeah, because that's what it is. That is the Hall of Fame. But I just know the first time I watched it, I didn't want to rewatch it. This time I do, so I don't want to say. Yeah, sure. I'm watching it.
Sure. Yeah, let's put it up there. Okay, that's your vote on it. All right.
Yes.
Seth's getting hyped here. All right, Erica, are you going to break his heart or are you going to help him out with what he wants? Is this going on
Well,
your Hall
listen.
of Fame?
I did not want to rewatch this movie, and I usually don't, because sometimes the movies that Seth chooses to rewatch, I'm like, what? But I'm also like, he will say the same thing about me because it just is what it is. Um, so to Jared's point, like I fully agree. When I watched it this time, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of like this. Like I would rewatch this. Like it's weird how that happened because normally I'm like, no, I don't want to watch Crocodile Dundee again. Like I'm over
You have
it.
no choice.
You didn't
But
need to. Crocodile Dundee is innocent. It did not need to catch strays today, and that's a
It
fantastic
always
movie.
needs to catch strays.
It's a fantastic movie.
anyway, but this one, like I feel like I'm gonna have to say yes because like I have the urge to rewatch it already, which is weird.
And
It's
I'm telling
weird.
y'all, no, it's
There's some
natural.
crack in it. I don't know.
No, it's a natural thing. Let it
It's some
happen.
acid. It's an
It
acid
happened.
coated cigarette.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that reference. I got that reference. I look. It happened to me. It happened to me. The first time I watched it, I crapped all over this movie. I was like, no, watch it again. I still don't even know why I watched it again. Watch it again. I've been singing its praises ever since. Like it's something that happens the second time you watch it. It's like everything just clicks. You're like, oh yeah, this is good. This is really good. I like this. I want more. It's a thing.
So, I guess that answers why this isn't going to go on my Hall of Fame because I only seen it the one time and I haven't gotten hooked like the three of you have gotten hooked on this movie. Man, I just like that. That's just interesting though. That the fact that none of you guys seem to like it your first viewing, but it's like got that second hit, and you're like, "Oh God, this movie is amazing."
See, Jordan, I hope you watch it again. Not anytime soon. You know what I mean? Like whenever you're ready. When
Okay.
the time comes, you'll know. One day you'll just be sitting around. You're like, you know what? I miss Cliff, and you're gonna watch it. And I hope you let us know how you feel the second time you watch it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter what I think right now because 3 out of the 4 already said yes, so it is going in our Hollywood Hall of Fame. That's interesting. So
It's great. It belongs there.
the drug addict movie.
Yes.
We got any more of that?
I need another hit, man. It's been too long.
I'm telling y'all, can't wait for the sequel. So excited.
All right, guys. So this time I can wrap it up now.
Wait,
What?
Jared has to pick.
Oh, Jared, you got a movie? All right.
Yes. Sorry, my cat.
I'll pick for you if you want.
I am. This movie is directed by someone that was in this movie that we just watched, or someone who was portrayed in this movie, shall I say? It is by one Roman Polanski. It is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It is
His life.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yay!
Let's go.
Erica
I
just said
literally
she wanted to
just
watch
said
that
I was
movie.
like, I've never watched it, and I've always wanted to,
Oh,
but
you
nobody wants to
never
watch it with
watched
me.
it?
Let's
This
go.
is a. I don't. Y'all can all say no to the Hall of Fame. I don't care. Y'all didn't put Hereditary in there, so your opinions are invalid.
Wasn't a
This
part of that
movie-
one. There's really
uh,
only one person in this podcast right now that
I
voted.
watch this movie
Not you.
every other year, pretty much. It's just really good. And I'll go into more of how, like, why I really love the movie Annabelle, because it pulls so much from this movie. And then every time I watch Annabelle, I was like, let me just go watch Rosemary's Baby. And it's great. Very haunting atmosphere. It's
That movie got a shout out.
In the movie,
Sorry.
they talked
Sorry,
about
Jared.
it. Yeah.
That's my bad, dude. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you on that one. That was one of those
Oh.
things that popped in my head and popped out of my mouth without me censoring myself.
No,
I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to cut you off mid-flow there. Sorry.
No, I just have a really big enjoyment for this movie. Very haunting atmosphere. So it's a real atmospheric movie. Watch it with the lights off. Watch it at night. To get in the ambience, make sure don't watch it during the day, please, because it'll ruin the effect of the movie. So yeah.
I'm excited.
All right.
I'm gonna watch it at noon with all the windows open. Just kidding.
Hope a bug flies in your mouth while the windows are open.
All right. So now I can do the outro here. Thank you, everyone, for watching the Blockbuster Hall of Fame. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, leave a like, and a comment. And
W's in chat.
anyways, it was a lot of fun. We had a good discussion. I enjoyed my first time hosting. And see you guys later.